Jai Hind everyone. This is Naresh Kumar. Welcome to the class of microprocessor. So in this video lecture, basically we will cover architectural components, logic devices for interfacing, and instruction and data flow in the microprocessor. So first of all, what are the main components or contents for this lecture? The contents will be as discussed in the first slide, the introduction to microprocessor, what are the main architectural components, and what are the various categories of operations performed by the microprocessor. Then we will discuss what are the logical devices and what is the requirement of using the logical devices with the microprocessor. So we will cover this in detail, that is logic devices for interfacing. And then in the end we will discuss the instruction flow and data flow in the architecture of the microprocessor. So first of all, introduction to the microprocessor, that is definition and example of microprocessor. Basically microprocessor is an integrated circuit. So by the definition we can say that microprocessor is a program controlled general purpose semiconductor digital IC that fetches, decodes and executes the instructions. It is basically the processing unit or CPU on a single chip that contains millions of transistors. Basically microprocessor is known as microprocessor because of its small size, and earlier when it was invented the technology was micrometer. So because of small size and with large processing power and small size in the microns or micrometer, so this IC was known as the microprocessor. Microprocessor is basically works according to the instructions in the program. So as per the instructions given by the user, microprocessor operates accordingly. So microprocessor is basically a program controlled IC. Next is, it is a general purpose IC. Basically the ICs are categorized into application specific or general purpose IC. Application specific is for a particular task or dedicated application only, whereas a general purpose IC can be used for multiple tasks or can be used for performing a number of tasks simultaneously. So microprocessor is a general purpose IC with the help of which we can perform a number of tasks, and it basically is in the form of integrated circuit, that is a large number of components are on the single silicon wafer for performing a particular task. Now microprocessor performs in 3 steps for all tasks. First of all, fetching of instruction is done, then decoding of instruction is done, then finally the execution is done. Basically this, as we know that microprocessor is in the form of integrated circuit, so this integrated circuit contains only the processing unit. We know that for a functional system we require a number of things like memory, input, output, ports, timer, counter, etc. But in the case of microprocessor, only the processing unit is in the form of chip or on the IC, where the remaining these things are external and their size can be decided by the user only. Okay, and the reverse can be, for example, microcontroller, where in the microcontroller everything required for a particular dedicated application in limited amount is available on the single IC. So microcontroller has everything on the single chip where for a particular application, whereas microprocessor is general purpose and has only the processing unit on the single chip. Now the examples of microprocessor are Intel 8085, Intel 8086. These are the basic processors. Now nowadays we have latest processors from the Intel in the I series, for example Intel Core i7 processor. Now next is This is the example for the definition. We have decided that the microprocessor is only the processing unit in the form of a single chip. So this is the microprocessor slot in the CPU system. So at this slot we can place the microprocessor. For example, i7 can be placed in this case, and everything other requirements are separate. That may be, for example, the peripherals, graphics card slot, RAM, ROM, and external memories, disk drives, and PCI slot for attaching the sound cards, etc. Next is, what are the main architectural components in the microprocessor? So basically any microprocessor basically contains, that may be any microprocessor, that basically contains three main architectural components. That is, in any microprocessor, three architectural components will always be available. These are ALU, arithmetic logical unit. Second component is memory, also known as register array. And third is control unit, CU. So in any microprocessor, three main architectural component, namely ALU, register array or the memory, or control unit will always be available, and these are used for performing the particular tasks, such as we can say here that is ALU, arithmetic logical unit. So arithmetic logical unit is basically used for performing the arithmetic and logical operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, comparison, logical and or XOR, etc. So all of these operations are performed by the ALU. Next is, second architectural component in the microprocessor is register array. So register array is basically a set of registers are available which may be used for memory purpose or storing. So internal registers are available in the architecture of the microprocessor. So in the architecture we have a number of registers. Register is basically nothing but it is a group of flip-flop or set of flip-flops which is basically used for storing the digital elements in the microprocessor. Digital data can be stored. Then finally we will have control unit, CU. So basically in the microprocessor, all the controlling of the operation is performed under the control of this control unit. This control unit is generally used for controlling the memory, attached peripheral. It also controls the flow of data, that is direction of data flow. So control signals like memory read, memory write, IO read, IO write, etc. are generated by this control unit, and this control unit also is used for performing the tasks related to timing, synchronization. Actually in the microprocessor everything is done with respect to the system clock. So all tasks are controlled and managed by this control unit under the influence of this system clock. So next is, what are the main operations performed by these architectural components? So in the microprocessor, basically these architectural components perform three type of operations, or operations performed by the basic microprocessor components can be categorized into three parts. One may be which are initiated by the microprocessor itself. First category is microprocessor initiated operations. Second category will be internal data operations. internal data operations. And third category is externally initiated. Externally initiated. So basically, the functions performed by the microprocessor can be categorized into mainly these three types, that is operations which are itself initiated by the microprocessor. Second is internal data operations. When we are performing any task or a program is being executed, then handling of the data or data transfer is through internal data operations. And then finally externally initiated operations. These are the tasks or operations which are externally initiated, for example by the attached peripheral devices, maybe in the form of interrupt. So these are the main three categories. So now we will discuss these one by one. So first is operations which are initiated by the microprocessor itself. So these are the tasks which are started by the microprocessor, and these are basically related to generation of control signals. These control signals are mainly memory read, memory write, IO read and IO write. So these four are the examples of microprocessor initiated operations. Next, second category is internal data operations. Basically this deals with the storing and transfer of data. Storing and transfer of data during the execution of any program or instructions by the microprocessor. So here we can see examples. Examples of internal data operations are related to storing and transfer of data. For example, storing of 8-bit data, then arithmetic operations and logical operations. For example, we can say that move A, B. So here the 8-bit data is being transferred from the register B to register A. Then we have, for another example, let's say move immediately MVI, move immediately B 08H. The immediate data of 08 is immediately transferred into the register B or is stored in the register B. So 8-bit data is stored in the register B. So these are the examples. Another example can be arithmetic operations, for example like add B. So in this arithmetic operation, the content of accumulator are added with the register B and result is stored in the accumulator itself. So this is 8-bit arithmetic operation. So this is another example of internal data operations. Another example can be, for example, add immediately 05H. So here the 8-bit data 05H is to be added with the content of accumulator and result is stored in the accumulator itself. So these are the examples of internal data operations. Next is third category is peripheral or externally initiated operations. These are the operations which are not initiated by the microprocessor, but however these are initiated by the attached peripheral devices. So these are externally initiated by the user. These may be externally initiated. These may be initiated by the user. These may be in the form of interrupt. and these may be initiated by the attached peripherals. So here are some examples we can see. These are the examples of microprocessor externally initiated operations like reset, interrupt, ready and hold. For example, resetting of the microprocessor may be done externally by the user by pressing the reset button. So this is an example of externally initiated. The attached peripheral device may send a request to the microprocessor in the form of interrupt for stopping the execution of the currently executing program for a high priority task. So the signal is in the form of interrupt. Another may be ready to tell the microprocessor whether the attached IO device is ready for data transfer or not. And another may be hold. Hold is basically used during the DMA operation. The request for the system buses by the attached IO device for the DMA operation is sent through the hold signal, and acknowledgement for the same will be sent by the HLDA. So these are the three types or categories of operations which are performed by the main architectural components of the microprocessor. Next is logical devices for used with the interfacing. So basically, first of all, what is interfacing? Interfacing is basically when we physically connect microprocessor with any attached peripheral or maybe with the memory. We have to make some kind of connections between the two. So interfacing is, for example, interfacing of microprocessor with the memory. So how microprocessor is connected with the memory? So there must be some connections need to be made. So how these are physically arranged or how these are physically connected, those connections are known as the interfacing. So interfacing may be, for example, between a microprocessor and a memory. Okay, so memory cannot be directly connected with the microprocessor. For that, in between we have to attach some, we will have to attach some logical devices. Okay, so connecting the microprocessor with the memory, in between, for proper connection or for proper working, we have to attach a logical devices in between. Now the question arises, what are logical devices? Logical devices are the electronic devices or components which give certain output only when certain input condition is satisfied. That is, these give desired output when logical condition is satisfied at the input. When logical condition is satisfied at input. So logical devices are those devices which give the desired output or certain output only when certain logical condition is satisfied at the input. So now the question arises, while making connections or interfacing, why we require the logical devices? So here I have summarized some reasons why we are requiring the logical devices. Logical devices are required for interfacing. First point is to avoid the bus contention problem. To solve the bus contention problem, we will require logical devices while making the interfacing connections. Now what is the bus contention problem? Bus contention means in the microprocessor system, it can have that multiple devices may require the system bus simultaneously. So out of those devices we can provide the bus only to a particular device only, single device. So there must be some logic so that the system buses are available to the particular device only. So when multiple devices request for the same resource simultaneously, this problem is known as the bus contention problem. To solve this bus contention problem, we will use the logical devices. Next is as a driver or to increase the driving capability of the system. Driving capability of the system means fan in and fan out concept. Fan in and fan out. Okay, so sometimes we have to use the single signal for connecting to multiple devices or to run to multiple devices, maybe at the input side, or we may also require at the output side. So to increase the fan in and fan out, that is driving capability of the system, we will use this. Logical devices can also be used for temporary storage. For example, buffers may be used for temporary storage purpose. Logical devices may also be used for providing the delay. For example, D flip-flop can be used. Logical devices can also be used for creating the selection or enable logic. For example, to select any chip or memory, we use the chip select signal. So the signal applied at this chip select can be created with the help of these logical devices. Then encoding and decoding logic may be required at the input and outputs during the microprocessor based system. So for that also we will be requiring the logical devices. Then finally, for deciding or controlling the priority, that there may be multiple requests simultaneously. So out of those, which requests are to be processed and which are to be ignored, there must be some priority system. So for deciding and controlling the priority, we can use the logical devices. Now next is, what are the examples? The main examples of logical devices that can be used for interfacing with microprocessor are tri-state device. Tri-state device example may be tri-state buffer. Another is buffer or simple buffer or driver. These are also known as drivers. Then we can also use bidirectional buffers for creating the selection or enable logic in both directions, in this side also as well as from right to left also. We can also use decoder and encoders. We can also use flip-flops or D flip-flop as latched and clocked. So these are the some examples of logical devices that can be used for interfacing with the microprocessor. Let's see these devices in detail. One example is tri-state devices or tri-state buffer. So these are the examples of tri-state buffers or tri-state logic. Okay. So basically, here we will have the input and here we have the output. This is known as the control or enable. So this device, logical device, is known as tri-state buffer because at the output there are three possible states. One is, that is when this control logic is okay or it is enabled. It is enabled. So it will be enabled, as we can see that here there is no bubble is used. So it is enabled when it is connected with 1. So when the control logic or enable is high or 1, then the input will become output, 0 will become 0 and 1 will be transferred as it is as 1. Okay, but when this control logic is 0, so when this control logic is 0, this will be disabled. So when this device is disabled, so whatever we apply at the input x, that is don't care, either we apply 1 or 0, then the output will be a high impedance state Z. Okay, so output will be high impedance only. So there are three output states, 0, 1 when the enable is there, when disable is there, control logic is disabled, then whatever we apply at the input there will be no effect, output will be high impedance state, third state. So this is the tri-state buffer. As discussed in the previous slide, these are the examples of tri-state buffers. This is with negative control logic and this is with positive control logic. So in the first case, when the enable is 1, the input is transferred as it is at the output, and when the enable is 0, that is will be disabled. So tri-state buffer is disabled. So when the tri-state is disabled, whatever be the input, output will be the third state, that is high impedance state or open circuit. And reverse will be the case in the tri-state buffer with negative enable. So here a bubble is there to denote the negative logic. So input will become output only when logic 0 is applied at the enable. Next is one application is shown here. Tri-state buffers can be used to solve the bus contention problem. Here we can see that this slide kar de. We can use this tri-state buffer for selecting the corresponding output logic, that is when is 0 1 is connected. So this will enable this output of the decoder, and if this output is enabled, then the corresponding this tri-state buffer will be enabled. And to denote this, C will be connected to the system buses, that is in this case device A, B, C and D are requesting for the system buses simultaneously. So there is bus contention problem. To solve that, we have used a decoder and a tri-state buffer. So the device C for which the tri-state buffer is enabled, only that device will be connected with the system bus and bus contention problem will be solved. So thank you all of you. Jai Hind.